This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Pursue Fitness, and I'm delighted to be joined by promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie, how are you doing?
I'm good. A couple of good press conferences today, particularly Fury v Povetkin, which definitely made my balls tingle. That is a great fight for the O2. Lomachenko against Campbell. Can't wait. Signed Hughie, didn't expect him to be in a fight like that, but he is, and that's a great fight.
You've had quite a busy week or so with a lot that's gone on. We'll start off with the fights on the weekend. Maurice Ukad, unfortunately your charge lost against Jose Ramirez in the unification fight.
Yeah. I mean, you always want your guys to win, but I left Dallas buzzing on what was a brilliant, brilliant fight. One of the fights of the year. Huge unification fight, you know, and obviously wanted Mo to win. Thought he put up a great fight. I thought Jose Ramirez was absolutely brilliant. I think right now you have to say he's the number one in the division. And Mo will be back. And yeah, it was a great night. Disappointed not to get the win, but great to be part of a memorable event.
Obviously, the winner of that fight in Jose Ramirez will be looking to face the winner of the World Boxing Super Series, a fight between Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis. What are your thoughts on that fight, first and foremost?
Great fight. I think Josh Taylor is a brilliant talent. I haven't seen as much of Regis as I'd probably like to give you a great answer. A lot of people speak highly of him. I think Josh may have his number. I don't know. Another great fight. Great division at the moment. And you'd like to see the winner of that fight, Ramirez, for the undisputed.
I've seen a few rumours that on the back of that you may sign Josh Taylor.
I'd love to sign Josh Taylor. You know, he's with Cyclone, whether that's working with them or whatever. You know, let him be in the series. We got a lot of 140 fights. We've got obviously a big platform in America as well. So we'll see. We'll see if he can get through to it. Listen, win the final or not win the final, he's still a valuable fighter.
Tevin Farmer also defending his world title against his mandatory challenger. What's up next for Tevin? Gervonta Davis, both of them calling each other out, both of them victorious on Saturday night. Is that realistic?
He needs a big fight. You know, I think he boxed well against Furewal. People sometimes criticise him for not being ultra exciting. Ultra exciting generally means taking shots, going down, getting up. He's just a very good fighter who's got great defensive skills. And he needs a big fight. You know, those fights against Jojo Diaz, against Bachelt, against Tank Davis, they're the fights where I think you're really going to see the best of Tevin Farmer.
And you mentioned it at the beginning of the interview, Hughie Fury and Alexander Povetkin. First and foremost, how did it come about that you was able to sign up Hughie with Matchroom?
Well, I spoke to Peter Fury, spoke to MTK, kind of approached me on it really, and I was really excited at the prospect of it, not just because it was sort of a bit of a groundbreaking move, but he's 24. You know, he's boxed Parker, close fight, boxed Pulev in Bulgaria. And I was never sure, really, when I was negotiating fights with Mick and Peter I was negotiating the Anthony Joshua fight, if they really wanted it. But now I look at their opponents and how quickly they've taken Alexander Povetkin. I know they really want it. And with every risk has to come huge reward. And the reward of beating Povetkin is huge for Hughie Fury. Now, if he beats him, he's in line for a world title shot. His credibility, his profile goes through the roof. And I think he's got a chance. You know, it's going to be a very tough fight, very tough fight.
How quickly was he able to make the fight with Alexander Povetkin?
Like that. Alexander Povetkin said, yep, that's fine with me. And Peter Fury went, well, we'll have Povetkin. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like normally a fight like that, any heavyweight fight takes a bit, both guys, yep. So brilliant. Brilliant. Great to work with someone like that. And the right fight for both. You know, like Povetkin believes he should be beating Hughie Fury. Hughie Fury believes he can beat Povetkin. And with it can cause a shock and shock waves through the division.
Now, obviously, we are in Liverpool at the minute. We've got the fights on Friday night. Brian Rose versus Anthony Fowler headlining. They started working through that card as well. What are your thoughts on that headline fight?
Good fight. I mean, perfect next-gen fight. You know, one of our top young fighters in against someone who, you know, we used to work with a lot. Obviously had a world title fight, won Lonsdale belts outright, won final eliminators. It's in Brian Rose. Good crossroads fight. Fowler must win. You know, lost to Scott Fitzgerald. If he loses to Brian Rose, he's in trouble. Brian has to win to keep his career alive. Great fights between Jack Cullen and John Harding Jr. for the English title. Great fight between Kez Ashfaq and Sean Davis. Great fight between Sean McGoldrick and Thomas Essomba. Lewis Ritson, Robbie Davis on the card, Martin Bacoli. Really good card in Liverpool. And these next gens, like the idea of the next gen originally was to have like an English title fight and then a couple of 8 and 6 rounders. Now it's like 4 title fights, 12 fights. So it's a good card, and I'm quite fascinated by Fowler-Rose.
I know it's a next-gen show and it's completely different to your regular Saturday night fight nights. Some criticisms have come in, as always. I know that you get it. What are your thoughts with regards to criticism, not just of these shows, but maybe some of the Saturday night shows that you've had this year?
I think if I read all the criticisms, I think I wouldn't even be able to give you any time for an interview. So you have to do what you believe in every situation, in every strategy. Next gens are next gens. Saturday nights are Saturday nights. The issue with Saturday night fight nights is, as the money has spiralled out of control in the States, more fighters want to go to the States. Therefore, more UK fighters want to earn even more money. Therefore, it's tougher to make the bigger fights on Saturday night fight nights. So we've had to adapt the strategy, look at that for the new season, starting from September, and you will see that. I think the next gens have been brilliant. I think the Saturday nights have been good, some okay. They need to be stronger all round, as all our shows do. You know, I want to make sure that every card is as strong as possible. Sometimes people don't see the challenges of the changing market and the fact that rights fees might stay the same, Percy's treble. How do you deal with that? We're running a business at the end of the day. As much as I love you and you, we can't, we have to navigate the business and the market in the right way. It's boring to fight fans, but it's our livelihood, it's our life, it's our job. So we've got to deliver for our fighters, we've got to pay them the money they want, which is generally top money, and interesting from September, be a new kind of strategy.
Obviously, whilst you're making your moves into the US market, what type of pressures have Sky placed on yourself?
I think they understand the market. They know why do you think that the fighters now are earning record purses? One word, Matchroom. Right? Whether people hate it or not, we've blown up the fight game in the UK in the last 10 years. That's just fact. So we're a victim of our own success. Where really, I remember what a fighter used to get for fight for the British title. He's 5 times more now, sometimes 10 times more, right? But rights fees are remaining the same. So where's the money come from? Don't take a genius to work that out. So we've had to adapt. Sky have understood that. The good news about our move to America is Sky have had our content, right? So they've had an additional 16 fight nights a year for their customers. But we do need to strengthen the Saturday night fight nights, and that's what we're trying to do for the new season, whilst trying to make a business work, because it is a business. Fighters have got to be rewarded. We've got to somehow operate, make money, pay our costs. We've gone from 4 employees to 40 employees with offices in 5 different countries around the world, operating new markets, opening up every quarter, another 2 coming in the back quarter of this year. So it's been difficult for us to probably handle that expansion as it is for any business, but we're trying.
You just mentioned the expansion and how much Matchroom has grown. Do you ever feel like you're spreading yourself a little thin though?
That's something that someone would say when they comment on someone moving at such a fast rate globally. So yes, of course, when you move and go from 24 shows a year in the UK and add 16 shows in the US and 8 shows in Italy and coming up 6 shows in Spain and probably Germany, you're spreading yourself thin. That's how it is. You've got to adapt with that. My biggest weakness is I like to be involved in everything. My delegation technique is not great. I trust my team, but I'm also a control freak where I want to design a poster. I want to make that 6-round fight. I want to choose the venue. I want to know where we're going for the press conference. I want to do the outdoor weigh-in, and you can't do all that. So when you expand at the rate that Matchroom are expanding, you will always spread yourself thin. But you've got to maintain the quality, you've got to make sure you delegate, and you've got to get results. And I don't want to be the guy who just went into UK boxing and done well. I want to change the game globally. I want to be responsible for changing the sport in several different key markets. Call that arrogant, call that what, that's my drive. And if you don't like it, fuck off.
How do you go about doing that in countries like Germany and Spain then, when you look at how much Matchroom has helped British boxing grow over here? How do you go about trying to expand into those markets where boxing doesn't necessarily have such a great following? It does in Germany. But
it has the following, it exists. It's either got to be reignited or it's got to be born. So it's making the sport cool, sexy, fun, great fights, trendy. But it all comes down to the boxing. right? If you're not putting on great fights, the sport's dead. So what we've seen in Italy is the crowds are building, the media interest building. When we did our first press conference, there was like one journo turned up. The one the other week...
was that Cougar?
Yeah, it was actually. The one that we did in Rome, packed with press. We're starting to see it in the crowds. We're starting to see that it's just becoming a little bit, boxing's back. It's always existed there. But, UK, because of the 10-year growth of UK boxing, fans are bright, fans are intelligent, fans understand the sport, they know the fighters. That's a problem in other markets, even America, where fans sit down in the arena, they don't know who's on the undercard. You're from Dallas last week and you turn up to watch Hooker fight Ramirez, do you know who even Tevin Farmer is? He's an American world champion, there's 5 world title defences. The British fans know who the 6-rounders are at the start of the card. And that's why it's great to work in this market, because the fans, they understand and they have knowledge and they're proper fight fans.
Now, to move on to the big talking point of it's been a week now, to be fair. Dillian Whyte's alleged... I know you've been asked about it a lot. Dillian Whyte's alleged failed drug test. Yeah. I don't know how that would have gone down, but Dillian Whyte's alleged failed drugs test. We haven't spoken since the news come out, and I just wanted you to try and explain from the beginning the situation and what you can divulge with us.
Not a lot, really. I keep getting told off every interview I do, but I feel like I had to come out and let people know about the procedure that was followed. So we know that procedure was, we were alerted about a problem with Dillian Whyte's drug test. There was a hearing. He was fully cleared to box after producing evidence at that hearing. He was therefore cleared by the British Boxing Board of Control, and the fight took place. That was the important thing for me to get out there, because when it was first reported, it was like everyone knew about this, but no one actually dealt with it. There was a procedure that was followed. The bigger problem now for Dillian Whyte, as far as everybody's concerned, or 90%, he's just guilty. And I keep saying to people, okay, surely the fact that he was cleared to fight at that hearing, he must have had grounds to be cleared. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to give him a chance? Or do you just want to say he's guilty? So that's got to come out, and there's a schedule that's evolving at the moment to make sure that he's got to get it right. He wants to be here today, Andy, with you and Coogan, fucking going mad and letting everyone know his version of what happened. He has to do the right thing here, follow this procedure and make sure his name is cleared, because right now his career's in tatters. And do I believe he's innocent? Yes, I do. Will that be shown? I believe so. But give him a chance to do that. Do you know what I mean? Without just automatically pointing the finger at him. Maybe I'm wrong. I know the guy. He kills me if everybody's not signed up to VADA testing. Pays his money for VADA testing. Has he signed yet? And VADA testing might be the thing that's going to clear his name, But it's very, very frustrating. There's lots that I want to say. Lots that's been reported. Some correct, some incorrect. But I keep saying to people, if he's cleared, he's been cleared for a reason. So let it play out and then make your judgment. You've got the WBC. They've suspended him till a hearing. How can you suspend a guy where the doping agency that had an issue with him have cleared him? How can you suspend a guy where the local commission, the British Boxing Board of Control, have cleared him? He's not suspended. He can fight on Friday on this card. Yet the WBC read a couple of articles, suspend him. Well, it's the same people that made him wait 600 days to become mandatory. So I have to bite my tongue and say, let it unfold. You will find out the truth. But if he's innocent, I'm warning you now, give him the respect that he deserves, because he's going through fucking hell right now. And some will feel sorry for him, some won't. Don't feel sorry for him. Wait until it comes out, because it will all come out in the wash.
You've mentioned that you've followed a procedure in every interview that I've watched. From the legal and the regulatory standpoint, obviously you've done what you can, but that's left Oscar Rivas' team, the WBC, and then obviously VADA, who didn't know about the failed drugs tests. That obviously shows that something's not right, and there's a systemic flaw in place. What's wrong with the system, if that's the case? Well,
the system, there's many things wrong with the system. I mean, once a fighter is cleared to fight by someone like Ukad and by the British Boxing Board of Control, I say there isn't anything to tell the opponent, but that's been dealt with legally by experts, right? So one of the arguments is, should he have known? It's very unusual once someone's cleared in a situation like that to go up to Oscar-Ruiz on the Saturday of a fight and say, just to let you know, there was an issue with Dillian Whyte's drug test. It's all been cleared now, but good luck tonight. I mean, like, I think even if I would have told the team, once he was cleared by an independent panel of experts, I don't even know if they would have told him. But anyway, back to your point. Good news with Ukad, okay? They find, if they find you guilty, banned or suspended. They will do it themselves. And the Board of Control, who've had a lot of stick in this situation, and I don't always get on with the board, but they follow Ukad. Ukad are the governing body in that respect. They follow their rules. If Ukad clear someone, the board clear them. The two work hand in hand. So the good news about Ukad is that they can suspend, ban, sanction fighters. Bad news is all confidential between the fighter and the board and Ukad. So someone said Oscar-Ruiz failed a drugs test. I don't believe that, by the way, at all. But you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. Right? VADA, great news. They report to all the people within the group of the fight. Whyte, Rivas, me, Yvonne Michelle, WBC, British Boxing Board of Control. Bad news is they can't do anything about it. Right? So who is going to sanction when someone fails a VADA test? It's all very well saying, yeah, well, at least Oscar-Ruiz would know about it, but that, like, if the look at the WBC. WBC, which drug testing authority do they follow? Do they use? Do they take as the tester? VADA, right? Dillian Whyte paid for and passed all VADA testing. Yet the WBC want to suspend him, right? If Dillian Whyte is found guilty, he's banned in the UK. Is he banned elsewhere? Probably not, right? Jarrell Miller fails a drugs test. He's not even banned. You're free to apply for a licence wherever you want, mate. Some may licence you, some might not. So there's got to be a blanket global policy, and it's not that easy, where it's almost like the agencies have got to come together and have some kind of treaty to say this is the rules, and if a fighter is found guilty or knowingly taken performance-enhancing drugs, they are banned. And I say it again, any fighter that is knowingly taking PEDs and cheating should be banned. So, but it's not as easy as, and again, the board's had a load of stick. Let me tell you something now. When you talk about fatalities in boxing, injuries in boxing, these are fights where there's been no testing in place. The British Boxing Board of Control are one of the only commissions who have adopted a random testing program for their licence holders. It's amazing, right? They pay for it, costs a fortune. So we're here in this situation because they've put those procedures in place. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying the procedures are flawless, but what I'm saying is at least they exist. You go to any commission in America, none of these guys are getting tested unless a promoter or a fighter puts the money up to test a main event, which generally the bigger fights are VADA tested. Not all of them. And when they're not, you've got to ask yourself why. Right? But these undercard fights, these intercontinental fights, they're not tested in America, and the commissions aren't testing anyone. It's a massive problem, massive problem. So actually I feel like here, we're in the best position of everyone. Unfortunately, a procedure that people don't agree with has taken place, and British boxing's coming under fire. I like to look at the good that it does. Oxygen at ringside, the safety precaution for fighters. Where was that recently in America? That could have saved lives, So we've all got to work harder to get things right. None of it's perfect, none of it's flawless. But let's see how it plays out. And for me, testing has to have a more universal policy. VADA, UKAD, USADA. It's really confusing. One global system. He fails for that, he's banned for 3 years. He's banned for 5 years. He's banned for life, etc.
With regards to Team Rivas not finding out, you've obviously followed everything from a legal standpoint. So do you think people who, from the outside looking in, are just looking at it from maybe morally or ethically, they would have just expected you to tell them and have allowed their own feelings to get in the way of that?
I think a lot of people have agendas. And I spoke to Yvonne Michelle last night, who I have a huge amount of respect for, and I told him what happened and the process that we followed. Say he was all right. I don't think he agrees with the process, but I think he approves what and it's not, oh, don't tell Oscar Rivas. It's like, this is confidential. There's a hearing. If he's cleared by these experts, he's cleared. Do you know what I mean? So the things to tell Oscar Rivas is the fight's going ahead, everyone's licence, or it's not, and Dillian Whyte suspended. That wasn't the case. So hindsight, I get the argument, but at the same time, you're breaking confidentiality. You've got a legal issue. I have to put the fight on if all guys are cleared because I have contracts with both fighters where they're making a fortune. So I don't know. I did what I always do, which is at that moment in time, I did what I believed was the right thing to do, and I followed a policy and a protocol alongside legal advice for me to make sure that I was doing exactly the right thing, and that's what I did.
Did Sky know?
No, it's the whole thing. Everybody saying he knew. Unless Dillian Whyte's mate knew and stuff like this. Confidential between the parties. I had a statement that I prepared because obviously you're going into a situation on the morning of the fight, and what's going to happen? Like, if he don't get cleared, that main event's off. So, and to be honest, knowing how they had, the time frame they had to prepare their evidence for the hearing, I wasn't sure whether it would go ahead. And it did. And, but again, it wasn't, we set up this panel and it was me and it was Andi from Boxing Social and it was Kugan Cassius, and we just had a little meeting. This is a national anti-doping panel. This is a proper procedure.
Do you think we would have found out without the leak at some point?
At some point, yeah, for sure. Because there has to be an end result here. It's not an organisation where it's like, okay, you'll brush that under the carpet and don't tell anyone. There's a process that's followed. So I didn't wake up Sunday morning and go, whew, I hope that don't come out, because what came out was we were asked to attend a hearing to give evidence. He was cleared to fight. Therefore, the board cleared him, and the fight took place. So I'm comfortable with that coming out. It was the way that it was reported, in that this sort of dark, shady move that it was all brushed under the carpet. It wasn't, and that's why I had to come out and have my say last week, which I got told off for, and I'll definitely get told off for this interview as well. But I feel passionate about it, and I don't want to hide. That's why I'm here. Should be on a car back down the M6. I'm answering questions from you.
We always appreciate your time, Eddie, but you're not done yet. What are your thoughts on Thomas Hauser? He seems to be a reputable man in the boxing world. What are your thoughts on him, the man who released the article and the article itself?
I think he sort of uses... I think a lot of the work that Thomas Hauser does is very good. I mean, he looks into these things. He's getting his information off a source. And I believe I know who that source is. Some of the information that he put out there was incorrect. And I told the boxing scene this. Oh, well, Dillian didn't reply. He can't reply. He can't comment on this. A lot of it was correct. So I don't have a problem with Hauser or the fact that he leaked an article. But some people, and I'm not involved in the legal side from a media point of view. I'm not involved in the case. My involvement was the show, right? They're dealing with that. Some of the stuff that's going out is incorrect and it's defamatory. And if that's the case, Dillian Whyte's team will probably deal with it. You see that stuff coming down today. Obviously something was said that was not true, and things that have been reported are not true. A lot of it is, but you can't base your knowledge on people reporting stuff that may or not be true by a source or by not knowing facts. So what I'm saying is the fact you do know is he was asked to produce evidence at a hearing. That evidence was heard and he was cleared to box. That's fact, right? So ask yourself why. The truth will come out very soon, and I hope he's completely cleared, and I hope he can put this behind him.
If you could put a percentage on it, how much of his article would you say was true?
I don't know. I mean, there were a couple of points in there that were incorrect, and we know for a fact it's not. I said, but I was there. I was in this situation. Just the way that stuff was reported as well. But Thomas Hauser's a credible guy. Like, he's got good sources, but sometimes sources have agendas.
What happens next with Dillian Whyte then?
Goes through the process with Ukad, and we need a definitive ending where he can come out and touch wood. If that is the case, he's innocent and get on with his career. No ban, no suspension. And he moves on. The other way is the bad news for his career. If that doesn't happen, then he's in a terrible place. But give him time, or not even give him time. Allow him to go through that process.
How much longer can you see this being dragged out for? Can you see it taking months on end, or?
I've no idea, mate, how long the process takes. It's public knowledge now, so everyone will want to deal with it as quick as possible, especially Dillian Whyte.
I know you are going to shoot off in seconds, so just a couple more quick questions. Firstly, Anthony Joshua versus Andi Ruiz Jr. Have you got an update for us?
No, I think America's out of the question now. So Andy don't want to come to the UK, which, you know, ultimately we have the right on that. But I don't want to, you know, I want to respect him, and I don't want any issues with the fight. A couple of interesting neutral ground opportunities. Cardiff's still the front runner, and I think he will be alerted in the next 48 hours.
When you say interesting opportunities elsewhere, what other places are you considering?
A few.
I mean, we've just seen Amir Khan out in Saudi Arabia. Would something like that be put to you?
Anything that, it's not, listen, obviously the money is always important to fighters. You see the risks in this sport, and you hope that fans can actually, when a fighter makes money, understand that's the name of the game. But it's more about, I don't know, the vision, something groundbreaking. You know, you talk about stuff like the Thriller in Manila, talk about stuff like the Rumble in the Jungle. There are iconic moments of the sport. So can we reproduce something like that? That would be attractive to me and to AJ, and would be a neutral venue that would solve a few problems with Ruiz. Still Cardiff the front runner.
And finally, some rumours floating about over the weekend that Tyson Fury might fight Charles Martin.
Listen to rumours. And I think that's another rumour that won't happen. Surely he ain't going to fight Charles Martin after Tom Schwartz.
You tell me, Eddie, you even know more than me.
His cousin's fighting Alexander Povetkin.
Eddie, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being back in Surgery.
Right, cheers.
Cheers.